Today on Politics Unplugged, you'll meet the Democrat and Republican working together to stop the Trump administration from deporting a Valley businesswoman back to China. Plus, Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego stops by to talk about his visit to a migrant detention center and the federal takeover of Washington, D.C. And we'll catch you up with all the latest political news affecting Arizona, now on Politics Unplugged. Good evening. I'm political editor Dennis Welch. This is Politics Unplugged. A beloved West Valley restaurant owner is now facing deportation within days, but there's a growing call here in Arizona for her to be released. Kelly Yu came to the U.S. from China more than 20 years ago, seeking asylum from China's one-child policy. She now owns 2 sushi restaurants in the Valley. Her husband and her child are both American citizens, and Yu was going through the legal process to become a citizen when she was detained at an immigration hearing. The fight to have Yu released from detention has united people on both sides of the political aisle. And I am joined today by Lisa Everett and Brent Peak. You've got a Republican over here, you've got a Democrat over here, and you are working together to try to stop a West Valley businesswoman who faces deportation back to Hong Kong, back to China. First of all, we'll start with you. How did you get involved in this? Tell us a little bit about this woman that you guys are trying to stop from being deported.
I heard about it on the news several months ago.
And her name is Kim Yu, correct?
Kelly Yu.
Kelly Yu.
And I assumed she was back home with her family. Everything was good because I didn't see any more coverage. I received a message from Brent asking if I could help. And my answer was yes.
Okay. So you were the one that first heard about this. How did you hear about this? How did you get involved?
Some folks brought the situation to my attention a few weeks ago. I'm with Northwest Valley Indivisible, and so we had been working to try to connect with the family. And this past Sunday, I was able to meet her husband, Aldo, and we were chatting, and I was learning more about their situation. And it occurred to me that Lisa might be interested in being a part of this, and so I texted her and was very happy to see that she was on board for this.
Okay, before we get into some of the follow-up questions on how the reaction to that has been, what have you been doing to try to keep Miss Yu from being deported? Because as of right now, as of the taping right now, we're taping a little early this week on midweek, she's still being detained in Eloy. What's her current status right now, and what's happened? What are you doing?
Currently, she is due to be deported in the next 10 days to 2 weeks.
Okay. So time is of the essence here.
Absolutely. Yeah. We are getting as much media coverage. We have reached out to lawmakers. We have emailed, called. We are asking people to call. I've made urgent pleas on X, Facebook, etc., to get the public involved. We want lots of people to flood our lawmakers and let them know this woman is the kind of immigrant we want. This is not acceptable that they're going to try to deport her.
Yeah, and by contacting lawmakers, what are you guys, you're talking about going to calling local Congressman Abe Hamadeh is the person who represents this district.
Yeah, Kelly's family are residents of the 8th Congressional District, and so we've been putting out the plea through our social media channels to urge folks to contact Representative Hamadeh, ask him to get involved here and see what we can do to help this family out. Greg Stanton's been getting involved, and our senators have been getting very involved as well.
Yeah, and what has been the response from Hamadeh so far?
I have not heard anything so far.
Okay, that's interesting, but I understand that Mr. Hamadeh is out of country on a trip right now.
That's what I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've talked to Ruben Gallego recently, and he has met with the family members of Mrs. Yu, and said that he doesn't want to fill anybody with any false hope. Are you hopeful that your efforts are going to help stop this woman from getting deported?
I am very hopeful. We are asking people to email the comment line at the White House. It's comments@whitehouse.gov. Asking the White House to see this woman as a person, to realize she has followed all of the steps she can follow. She has been actively trying to become a citizen since she got here. She was actually picked up while she was at a meeting with immigration by ICE officials.
So on her way or at a meeting with ICE officials, then she gets picked up?
With immigration,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, she was there, I believe, after a previous visit. She'd been on an ankle monitor. So she was, you know, as people say, doing this the right way, making every attempt to.
Yeah, and you made an interesting comment. You wanted to flood the White House message board and whatnot, and you were saying that you're telling people, like, don't be mean, don't be critical. I mean, which is interesting, because when you go onto social media and you go onto a lot of things, that's all you tend to see, or at least you see a lot of people being critical, people being negative. You're saying don't do that.
Yeah, I think that in this case here, this is something that a whole spectrum of folks can generously come around, kindly come around. We are coming at this from a place of empathy, and I think we need to communicate it from a place of empathy as well.
Okay, and what do you tell people? I'm sure you're getting questions like, what did you expect? I'm assuming you supported Donald Trump.
Yes.
You voted for Donald Trump. He ran on a platform of mass deportation. It was on signs, on signs. What do you say to them when they say, like, what did you expect?
Exactly. People do ask me that. And the reality is, Trump said that he was going to deport the worst of the worst. And Kelly Wu is not the worst of the worst. She's a business owner. She gives back to her community. She pays taxes. She employs 30 people. We need to have immigrants like her in our country. I don't understand some of the negative feedback I have gotten, but it's not deterring me. I believe that we as Americans need to quit seeing politics as a sport and the other team is the bad guy. We need to realize the home team is America, not the parties.
And conversely to you, I mean, this is a president who won this state by 6 points, 5-6 points. Isn't an argument to be made is that this is what the voters voted for?
I don't think that people voted in this case for something like this. I think anyone that voted for Trump, and even those of us that didn't, are probably in pretty broad agreement that the worst of the worst, whoever that is, shouldn't be here in our country. I would still support a secure border, but what we're asking for is a compassionate immigration policy. And in this case here, Kelly Yu is absolutely far from the worst of the worst here, and not the kind of person that I think anyone during the campaign had said we need to ship out of our country.
And real quick, we're running out of time. I did want to ask too, have you been criticized? Is there been any blowback from people in your own party since you are working with a Democrat on this issue?
There has been some, but by far the people emailing and texting and Facebooking are saying, I'm proud of you. Thank you for standing up for what's right. So I leave the negative and I embrace the positive.
Yeah, same question for you. Are you getting any blowback from people in your own
Overwhelmingly positive, but yeah, there's folks that I think what our interaction has done to some degree is kind of exposed some of the distrust from the further corners of our groups that we are with. And so, yeah, there's been some critical feedback, but I believe overall people are very supportive of any effort from anyone that wants to be a part of this.
All right, we're going to have to end it there. I want to thank you both of you very much for stopping by here and sharing the story about what you guys are up to. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
And still ahead, Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego visited an ICE detention facility in Florence. His thoughts when Politics Unplugged continues.
It's time for your political roundup, a quick check of the news driving politics in Arizona and across the country. We begin with President Trump deploying hundreds of National Guard troops in our nation's capital. The commander-in-chief said he's doing this to fight crime, even though the city's mayor claims crime is at a 30-year low. California Governor Gavin Newsom announced his state is moving forward with plans to redraw its political map to help Democrats pick up 5 more seats in Congress next year. This is a direct response to the Republican-led efforts in Texas that are backed by President Trump. In Arizona, the state Senate president is asking the feds to revoke Arizona PBS's broadcasting license over its handling of the 2022 televised gubernatorial debate. And finally, a major court decision. A Maricopa County judge rules that the state is violating the state constitution by the way it funds education. The ruling will likely be appealed, but could end up costing the state billions.
And welcome back to Politics Unplugged. The last time Arizona Senator Ruben Gallego visited the show, I asked him why he hadn't visited an ICE detention facility. He assured us it was in the works, and he made that visit this week. I talked to him about that visit and the rest of the news in Washington. Just visited the detention center down in Eloy, I believe, or Florence, just the other day. Tell us a little about this. Which facility was this? How many people are being held there? What did you see?
It was your male detention facility. It varies about how many people are there. And look, I saw what you normally see at a detention center, you know, the processing, everything else like that. The bigger question is who's being held there. And, you know, while we saw some people that justifiably had reasons to get deported, people that were caught up in drug charges, things of that nature, we also heard some real horrible stories. Like, for example, this gentleman named Ramin, him and his wife were going to pick up a gift for their 16-year-old child. They came to this country in the year 2000 as political refugees from Iran to avoid the Ayatollah Khomeini. We gave them and granted asylum. They have two American boys, 18 and 16-year-old. The 18-year-old now has to take care of the 16-year-old. They're running out of savings, and God knows where it's going to happen after that, because both of their parents are now in jail and have been in jail 4 months. This is the type of enforcement that is not needed. It does not make us any safer. We should be allowing these people to be continuing their life. This family owns businesses all around the country. They're contributors to society, and this administration are targeting these types of people just so they could hit these arbitrary quota.
Anybody talking about mistreatment during their detention there? I know that Ansari in Congress the other day, or last week, or maybe this week, I can't remember, had mentioned that she had one of the facilities she visited, that there was some allegations of mistreatment there.
We didn't. So talking to the inmates, or the people that were in jail, I should say, we did not hear that. There was complaints of food and things of that nature, but I did not hear anything about mistreatment of any sort of that nature.
Okay, your thoughts. I mean, obviously, you just said you don't support this. This is not a good policy. This is a president that ran on this. I mean, he was on stage, mass deportation. Mm-hmm. It's not a surprise. I know he said, they wanted to get rid of the criminals and whatnot, but he ran on this, and he won Arizona 6 points. I mean, by you opposing this policy, are you at odds with voters?
No, I also won Arizona too, let's not forget. And I was running on a very specific policy platform that said, let's secure the border, let's get immigration reform, let's go after the criminals. And if you talk to most voters, they actually, when they heard the president, whether he said it or not, they thought that he was actually going after criminals, the mass deportation of criminals. They didn't think they're going after the Kelly Hughes of Peoria, who, she owns 3 stores here in this area, has a family member here, came to this country to avoid the one-child policy of China. They don't think about the Ramins of the world. They don't think about these people that, came here and actually were doing everything correctly. They just never were given the chance and opportunity to become permanent residents or U.S. citizens. But because this administration wants to be tough, they're going after some really, really dumb targets instead of some real hardened criminals. And I think that's why you're seeing the response in the streets of people. And
you brought up Kelly Yu. There were reports you were supposed to meet with her family. Mm-hmm. Has that happened, or is that going to happen?
Oh, yes. I met with her family, I met with her husband and their daughter. And again, another heartbreaking example. This woman did everything right. She was just trying to keep her child alive, because under the one-child policy, China was going to punish her for having a female baby, something that we used to actually use, by the way, as propaganda against China. And we gave her asylum in this country, and instead of recognizing that she's an additive to this country, the fact that she's got 3 businesses, she's got multiple employees, has been paying taxes, raising a great child, we're kicking her out of this country and going back to the country that she does not know anymore.
Any chance that that she doesn't get deported? I know that there is Republican, there's a Democrat, and Democrats are working together on this here to try to stop the deportation. What's the latest on that you've heard on her?
I don't want to get people's hopes up, and I want to make sure people understand that, because this is how broken the immigration system is that the chances of her getting off are very, very, very slim. And while there are some Democrats and Republicans that are helping her, the congressional Republicans in Arizona are not doing anything. Her congressman is Abe Hamadeh. He has not lifted a finger. He has not helped out in any way. And until you actually have real congressional action, the Kelly Hughes of the world are always going to be deported. And there is a way, I think, for us to work together to actually pass sane and small immigration reform, nothing big, where basically these types of cases, we allow them to stay here, pay a fine, go through a background check, maybe not give them citizenship, but give them something so they could actually stay with their families. But until you see Republicans move, since they're in charge, it's unlikely to happen.
Okay, and one last question on this before we can move on. Any problems getting into the detention facility in Florence? We know that other members of Congress have been denied or have had trouble getting into some of these facilities. Any problems on your end?
I don't want to exaggerate, because I always feel like that's when people start not trusting the system. But this time we did not have a problem.
And more with Senator Gallego, including his thoughts on the National Guard being sent to Washington, D.C. when Politics Unplugged continues. And to get more in-depth with the issues, check out the Politics Unplugged podcast this week. I'm joined by consultants Tony Connie and Chip Scutari. The Politics Unplugged podcast drops every Sunday wherever you get your podcasts. And welcome back to Politics Unplugged. President Trump sent troops to the nation's capital, claiming there's a surge in crime, though the numbers say otherwise. I asked Senator Gallego his thoughts. Donald Trump has now sent the National Guard out there to, even though there's been reports falling crime rates and whatnot, but this is, you just get your thoughts on the president doing this in the nation's capital.
Listen, the best way to bring down crime is to actually hire more police officers and work with the police departments and the cities to actually get the resources they need, the background. When you're taking National Guardsmen, and by the way, DEA agents and FBI agents off their cases to go guard Georgetown, you're not making things safe. This is all for show. I mean, they had, military personnel in Humvees on the National Mall. The National Mall has very little crime. This is not the proper use of the military to begin with. Just because you're a National Guardsman doesn't mean you're actually trained at all in law enforcement. It is very difficult to do law enforcement. Even when I was in Iraq for my time there and we were operating within cities, I was trained to go after insurgents, not to actually do police work. Mm-hmm. And so what the president is doing is just, basically two things. He's slowly eroding the guardrails of democracy, making people used to the idea of the federalization of troops. And number two, it's just a show of force. It's a waste of money and a waste of the time of these poor National Guardsmen too, because they don't necessarily receive all the benefits and that they do if they were on an active duty orders.
And is this something you think he's going to do more of? You hear a lot of talk, particularly from the left, about, oh, this is a precursor. Do you think this is a precursor? Or do you think this is like a one-off? Or I mean, you've got National Guardsmen in L.A. Right. Now you've got them in the streets of D.C. Do you think it stops here? Or do you think this?
No, I don't think it stops here. Donald Trump thinks the military is like his personal play toy, mm-hmm. and he will continue to do it. There's a reason why he put someone as inexperienced, and with no morals whatsoever in terms of Secretary Hegseth there, who will just rubber stamp that as compared to everybody else. There's a reason why he's purging the military of generals that don't agree with him, because he wants to be able to use them, and he will continue to push the boundaries of what he can and can't do with the military. Where does that lead? I don't know, but we do have to be aware and careful.
Another big story this week, Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Mm-hmm.
The president has appointed somebody to lead that agency that some people don't trust is going to be a fair and impartial leader of that agency. Are you going to vote for this person who needs Senate confirmation?
Absolutely not. This is, for an administration that complains about DEI, this is MAGA DEI. This guy has zero experience, doesn't have the educational or research capability and background to actually be trusted when it comes with this type of data. And the data needs to be impartial. It can't be Democratic data, it can't be Republican data, it can't be MAGA data, because we need to make policy decisions based on that. If we don't trust the data, how can we decide what we're going to do with interest rates? What are we going to do with programs? How do we target, to deal with unemployment or inflation? And I think you're also going to create a very unstable situation when it comes to our markets, right? If you're investing in this country, whether it's locally owned investments, national investments, big firms, how can you tell what's actually happening in this country if they're rigging the numbers? And it doesn't change what's happening. The country is slowing down, the economy is slowing down. I wish it wasn't, but it's partially due to the actions of this president. And I wish he would, instead of running from the data, use the data to figure out how can he change the trajectory of it and put this country back on the track it was going, which was going with high employment and lowering inflation. That's a direction we want to continue going, and that's not the direction we're going right now.
What's the message you think that Democrats need to craft moving forward? I mean, we keep seeing, polling that where the brand is for Democrats. Sure. I mean, it's lower than Donald Trump's approval rate.
Right.
It's 33%.
It's not even crafting a message. It's like getting back to what we are. Right? We're a party that's supposed to be for working class people, for the American dream, for people being able to work 40 hours a week and be able to afford an apartment. It used to be buy a house. Now we at least people can't even get apartments, right? We're the person that has to be and the party that has to be for that family that's trying to figure out how to make it, and not just make it, but actually really thrive in this country. Because the average American right now can be making $80,000 to $100,000, and they're still struggling. And the Democratic Party doesn't really have an answer to that. And largely, we try to avoid these conversations. But we should. We should be working on figuring out how to make housing cheaper, how to make housing cheaper also for younger people. Right now, the average age of the first-time home buyer is 38. Imagine, what's happening with these young men and women that are stuck at home because they can't buy a home, can't afford college. All these things that we just never really had a good answer to is why we're losing voters.
Is the answer maybe to become more progressive? There was a recent poll I'm aware of that the two most popular Democrats in the party right now is AOC and Bernie Sanders. I'm also old enough to remember you hosted a rally at Bernie Sanders at ASU. Should the party be more embracing of that?
I think we need to be taken from every sector. There are some things that Bernie does correctly and talks about correctly when it comes to power, greed, corruption, when it comes to bringing up the working class and the middle class of this country. There are some good things that come from the right side of the ledger, within the party, and there's some things that come in from the middle. We need to not be focused on these labels, and this is what I said just during the campaign, and everyone thought I was insane, and I was right though. Most Americans and most Arizonans do not care about labels. They care about effectiveness. They care about what does this mean to their bottom line. If we do that, that's when we win. If we focus on litmus tests that only is important to a very small sector of Democratic primary voters, we're going to lose elections.
And final question before I let you go and let you get out of here. What about Mondami in the New York mayor's race? What is he? Does he have a message that you think it could resonate with folks? I mean, he's talking about cost of living. He's talking about freezing rent. He's talking about open government-run grocery stores. But it seems like the center left of the party is like attacking him.
Yeah, I don't know why they're attacking him. I think it's stupid when maybe we're not in 100% agreement, right? But he has some ideas that are clearly, attracting people. It's okay to say, I disagree with this, this, and this, but I agree with that. But the idea that we're just going to throw out people that are really bringing in new ideas to the fold, exciting people just because they're slightly to the right or to the left of us, I think is dumb. The problem with Democrats is that we have been shrinking our tent as much as possible to the point where there's not many people left. And that happens on the left side of our party, and also happens on the right side of the party. And we can't do that. That's not how we win, and that's not how we put a winning coalition together.
And that is all the time we have. But be sure to join us next week for more Politics Unplugged. Good night.